Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're breaking down Curries with Mubi's incredible, completely blender-free Punjabi chicken curry. Look, if you absolutely love those rich, complex Indian flavors, but you want a process that's actually accessible for a regular home kitchen, well, you are in the exact right place.
So, you might be wondering, what is the secret to a Punjabi chicken curry that you'll want to make over and over again? We're going to answer this by structuring the whole cooking process step by step. We're focusing on those really accessible techniques that build profound, restaurant-quality flavor right in your own kitchen. And the best part is, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment to pull it off.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Preparation and Marination. This is where we lay our foundation.
First up is our choice of chicken, and this actually impacts our searing step a bit later on. Now, traditionally, bone-in chicken is the go-to because it yields more water and really deepens the overall flavor. But hey, if you're like us and you just have some boneless, skinless thighs sitting in the freezer, those are going to work beautifully too as a super convenient option.
The prep work here is brilliantly split into two distinct paths. First, you've got the marinade, which is a quarter cup of plain yogurt mixed with a half teaspoon of turmeric, a quarter teaspoon of Kashmiri red chili powder, and a half teaspoon each of salt and coarsely crushed black pepper. Then, there's your gravy base, one massive onion, some ginger, garlic, and a large tomato. The ultimate takeaway: just mix your marinade up and then manually chop those base ingredients as finely as you possibly can. That's right, absolutely zero blenders required for this whole shebang.
Once you toss that chicken into the yogurt and spice blend, patience literally becomes your very first cooking technique. You have to give those spices the time they need to truly penetrate the meat. So give it a minimum of 30 minutes, or even better, if you can plan ahead, let it sit in the fridge overnight.
Moving right along to Section 2, Building the Aromatic Base. It's time to heat things up.
You'll want to start with 2 tablespoons of mustard oil, or whatever your preferred cooking oil is. But listen to me on this next part. Adding ghee is absolutely non-negotiable for that authentic flavor. Seriously, for a true Punjabi chicken recipe, ghee is a must. It provides this unmistakable, rich depth that regular cooking oil just cannot duplicate, no matter how hard it tries.
Next, we introduce our whole spices. We're talking bay leaf, cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, and cumin. But the absolute crucial technique here is heat management. Yes, you heat your oil first, but you definitely need to drop the heat to low before tossing those spices in. This gently coaxes out their aromatic oils without burning them to a crisp.
After that, you'll stir in your ginger, garlic, that massive chopped onion we talked about, and a little sprinkle of salt to help it all break down. But here's the tricky part. You need to fry these onions perfectly. So how do you actually know when they've reached that sweet spot?
Well, you are looking for a very specific visual cue. When you see the oil literally dancing all around the edges of the pan, your aromatics are perfectly fried. The moisture is completely gone, the flavors are super concentrated, and that dancing oil, that's your green light to go ahead and stir in your chopped tomatoes. That brings us to Section 3, Spicing and Searing. This is where we're really building out that flavor profile.
The ground spices enter the mix one after the other. First, you'll stir in the turmeric, which is beautifully referred to as the sunshine of Indian cuisine, and cook that for about 2 minutes. Then add in your Kashmiri red chili powder. This stuff gives the dish a gorgeous red color, but keeps the heat level incredibly mild. Oh, and remember, you can totally swap that for paprika if you want absolutely zero heat. Finally, you just mix in your ground coriander.
Now, after adding the marinated chicken back in, along with an extra tablespoon of ghee or butter, things get intense. You have to cook it all on high heat until every single drop of water dries up. This concentrates all those delicious flavors. If you used bone-in chicken like we mentioned earlier, you're going to have a bit more water to burn off here. But regardless of your chicken choice, keep stirring on high heat until the water evaporates completely and you see the oil visibly pop right up to the surface.
And finally, Section 4, Simmering to Perfection. Let's bring it all together.
To really elevate this dish to the next level, we introduce kasuri methi, which are dried fenugreek leaves, alongside some garam masala and a cup and a half of hot water. The key physical technique here: make sure you manually crush those dried leaves between your palms right before dropping them into the pan. That little bit of friction unlocks their absolute maximum flavor.
Before putting the lid on, we have one final brilliant trick. Drop in 2 whole green chilies. It's optional, but it infuses this beautiful, earthy flavor into the gravy as it covers and simmers on very low heat for 15 minutes. And because they remain completely whole, they won't release their spicy seeds, keeping the heat perfectly balanced while totally transforming the aroma.
Okay, once your 15 minutes are up, give it a good stir, but definitely take a second to carefully remove those large whole spices. I mean, nobody wants to accidentally crunch down on a whole cardamom pod when they take a bite. Once those are out, garnish everything with a really generous amount of fresh coriander leaves, and boom, you are ready to serve this masterpiece with roti, naan, or steamed rice.
I'm going to leave you with this final mouth-watering thought, though. If you actually have the patience to let this sit in the refrigerator overnight, those complex flavors are only going to get better and better. Making it a day ahead is the ultimate secret to true restaurant-quality taste. So, will you test your patience for tomorrow, or are you going to dive right in today? Either way, you now have the exact blueprint for an absolute game-changer of a Punjabi chicken curry.